My folks cancelled my 18th birthday because of my sister's tantrum. So, I quietly moved out. And then, I sat back and watched their perfect little world collapse without me. I had just turned 18 3 days earlier. But instead of celebrating, my parents pulled the plug on my party at the very last moment just because my spoiled older sister, Sabrina, demanded it. Truth is, she wasn't even supposed to be in town for my big day. And honestly, I was relieved about that. But of course, luck wasn't on my side. The very morning she was supposed to leave Dallas, all flights got grounded because of massive storms sweeping across the Midwest. She had been planning to fly out to New York City with her college girlfriends for some influencer event she'd been obsessing over for months. Instead, everything got delayed. And since her plans crumbled, she decided everyone else's should too. Which meant my parents were suddenly walking on eggshells, catering to her mood swings. Because upsetting their golden child was the last thing they wanted. So much so, that on the very morning of my 18th birthday, Sabrina stomped into the kitchen and demanded my party be cancelled. Her exact words: "If I can't have fun, then she can't either." And of course, my parents didn't hesitate. They immediately started messaging everyone, my friends, our relatives, all of them, telling them the party was off. The worst part? They never even told me. I spent the whole day thrilled, decorating with Mom, setting up string lights and balloons in the backyard, baking my favorite chocolate chip cookies using Grandma Lydia's recipe. Everything looked magical under that Texas sunset. By evening, I kept checking my phone, waiting for texts about parking, or what time should I come. But nothing. Silence. By 7 o'clock, nobody had shown up. By 8 o'clock, I was confused. By 9 o'clock, I was panicking. I finally went inside. "Mom, Dad?" I asked. They were sitting in the living room watching Netflix, like it was just another ordinary night. "Where is everyone? Did something happen?" That's when they told me. They had cancelled my 18th birthday without even asking me. All because Sabrina was upset about her missed trip. The rage that exploded inside me was something I'd never felt before. Because this wasn't just about one birthday. This was about 18 years of being second place. Always. I shouted. I cried. I demanded answers. How could they do this? They were the ones who had pushed for a big celebration, the ones who had invited relatives from Austin and Houston. "You don't understand," Mom said nervously, twisting her hands. "Sabrina is so devastated. We didn't think it was right to throw a party while she's in such a fragile state." Fragile. She's 23 years old. I screamed. I'm the one turning 18. And you cancelled my birthday for her tantrum? It was always like this. Sabrina got the last slice of pizza. Sabrina picked what we watched on TV. Sabrina got new clothes from Galleria Dallas, while I wore her hand-me-downs. And now, this. "Keep your voice down," Dad hissed. "You'll wake Sabrina." That made me snap even harder. Even in the middle of ruining my birthday, they were more worried about her sleep. Later, I found out they had told everyone I was too sick with a migraine and asked them not to contact me. That's why my phone had been so quiet. My friends actually thought they were helping by leaving me alone. The manipulation was breathtaking. Right in the middle of me finally letting out 18 years of pain, Sabrina came downstairs in silk pajamas, smirking. "What's all this noise?" she asked, pretending she had no clue. When I called her selfish, she had the audacity to lecture me about empathy. "I'm going through something so difficult right now. If you can't see how heartless it would be to celebrate while I'm hurting, then you're more spoiled than I thought." That was it. I snapped. I lunged at her, grabbed her perfect hair, and we ended up in a full-blown fight right there in the living room. Dad had to pull us apart just as the doorbell rang. And there he was. Grandpa Richard. 6 feet tall, sharp as ever in his pressed slacks and polo. The man everyone in our family respected. He looked at me. At Sabrina. At my parents. His face hardened. What in God's name is happening here? And for the first time, I told someone the truth. Every detail. Not just about tonight, but about years of favoritism. Of always being pushed aside. Of being invisible. Grandpa's face went from shock to anger. Pure anger. Is this true? He barked at my parents. Have you been lying to me all these years? And then, he revealed something that made my world tilt. He had been sending my parents money every single month for 3 years. Their small accounting business in Plano had been on the brink of collapse, and he'd been bailing them out quietly. Even my birthday party. Yep, the one they cancelled had been paid for by him. I gave you money because I thought you were raising both girls with fairness and love, he said, his voice low and dangerous. Clearly, I was wrong. Sabrina, being her delusional self, picked that exact moment to argue. She whined about how traumatizing it was to have her New York trip cancelled, how she couldn't possibly handle watching someone else celebrate while she was in pain. Grandpa stared at her like she was speaking a foreign language. You think the world revolves around you, don't you? He said quietly. You think your tantrum is more important than your sister's 18th birthday? The silence was suffocating. And then Grandpa dropped the bomb. I'm done supporting this family. You're on your own now. And you, he looked at me, pack your bags. You're coming with me. The chaos that followed? I'll never forget it. My parents begged, pleaded, tried to bargain. Dad, please, don't do this, my father begged. We can change, my mother added desperately. But Grandpa wasn't listening. He turned to me and asked, do you want to come live with me? Because I can see this house isn't healthy for you. I didn't even hesitate. Yes. And the wildest part. Even as they begged him for money, neither of my parents tried to convince me to stay. They weren't upset about losing me. They were upset about losing his financial support. That night, I packed my essentials, clothes, laptop, my favorite books, the few pieces of jewelry that were actually mine. Grandpa drove me out of Plano and into his quiet home in Frisco. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Grandpa had always been successful, a respected defense lawyer before retiring. But more than his house, it was his presence that felt safe. You'll stay here as long as you need, he told me. Through summer, through college, whatever you want. And for the first time in forever, I felt like someone actually cared about me. But my parents weren't done. They blew up my phone, texts, voicemails, emails. Not because they missed me, but because they needed me to convince Grandpa to send money again. Their apologies were hollow. Mom texted, we always thought you were stronger than Sabrina. That's why we focused more on her. She seemed to need us more. It made my blood boil. They weren't admitting to favoritism, they were trying to reframe it as a compliment. After ignoring them for a week, I finally responded. I told my father straight up, I knew they only wanted me back for money, and I was done with the manipulation. That's when they made their biggest mistake. Dad texted, we'll do anything to make this right. Just tell us what it would take. So I gave them a condition. I'll consider coming back, if Sabrina moves out permanently. She's 23. She's working. She should have her own place. I never planned to go back, no matter what they said. But this was my test. To see where their loyalty really was. And their silence said it all. Days passed. No reply. Meanwhile, life with Grandpa was everything I'd dreamed of. He listened. He asked about my future. He helped me look at scholarships. We cooked, watched movies, talked for hours. One evening, he told me something I never knew. When my mom was pregnant with me, her parents died in a car crash. She blamed me for the tragedy, thought my birth brought bad luck. She even wanted to put me up for adoption, but Grandpa had stopped it. Hearing that, it was painful. But also freeing. I finally knew, I was never the problem. Weeks later, Sabrina tried to confront me outside school. She followed me home, spewing accusations that I was tearing the family apart. You actually expect them to kick me out of my own home, she shrieked. I just smiled and said, funny, that's exactly what you said on my birthday. If I can't be happy, neither can she. Guess the rule applies both ways. She snapped. She lunged at me in the street. Luckily, my friend Ethan, a linebacker who'd become my unofficial bodyguard, pulled her off. I slapped her across the face and told her if she ever tried that again, I'd call the cops. When Grandpa heard, he wanted to call the police right away. But I convinced him not to. Sabrina had already sealed her fate. 2 days later, my parents finally responded. The message was brutal. "We've decided Sabrina will keep living with us. You've shown us you're jealous and manipulative. We only wanted you back for your grandfather's support, but we don't need that anymore. Don't come back." I wasn't surprised. Hurt? Not really. It only confirmed what I already knew. So I blocked them. For good. Life moved forward beautifully after that. I got into Texas State University with a scholarship. Grandpa covered the rest. Ethan and I started dating officially. We even went to prom together. The best part? Karma. Word spread through our extended family about why Grandpa cut my parents off. Slowly, relatives stopped talking to them. Their social circle shrank. They had to downsize their lifestyle. And eventually, even Sabrina moved out. Now, I'm studying psychology. I've made amazing friends. I finally feel like myself, not someone's lesser sister. Grandpa and I are closer than ever. He's the parent I always needed. And sometimes, I wonder what if my parents had just sincerely apologized that night? What if they had chosen me for once? But honestly, I'm glad it worked out this way. Because now, I'm free. I'm valued. I'm living the life I deserve. And I've never been happier. And that is how everything unfolded. If you've stayed with me through this story, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, I'd love for you to tap the like button. It really helps more than you know. And if you'd like to hear more stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe, and maybe even turn on the little bell, so you'll always know when a new one is ready. Until then, I'll see you in the next story.